Welcome to Design Santa Barbara. I'm Michael Kurosh, and today we are in Santa Barbara Design Center, where I'm so excited sitting down with Diane Anthony, whose company Piece of Space helps people with professional organization. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's wonderful having you in our show, and I'm pretty much sure a lot of our viewers have the same questions as I have. So here we go. Let us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm born in Los Angeles, and interestingly, at the time I was flying for United Airlines, and I was based out of San Francisco. But we had come up here as children with my family, and I absolutely loved Santa Barbara. And so when my transfer came through, I moved up here so I could be closer to where I had to go to work, but never wanted to leave because it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, Santa Barbara is just paradise. I keep saying it every single show, and it surely is. So tell us a little bit about your company, the Piece of Space.
Yeah, so 12 years ago, I started my own business, and it was on the recommendation of a friend who had asked me to help them organize their children's room. And she had just said, I don't know what to do. Every time I walk by the room, it makes me completely crazy. So I came over and had some ideas about switching things around, and then we went through all the games, and we went through all the toys, and afterwards, she was so profoundly moved by it. But to me, it seemed as if it was just a normal, like this was just a natural thing. And so she said to me, you should be a professional organizer. I didn't even know that they existed. So I went to the local bookstore and I looked in the book section and found all of these books on design and organizing. And there was a book by a man named Peter Walsh. And I read it, and he was a little bit irreverent and very funny and had all of this information. I went online, and there's an organization called the National Association of Professional Organizers. This is like 25 years old. I had no idea. So they happened to be having their yearly meeting, and it was in Reno, Nevada. So I signed up. I was there for 3 days, and as I'm sitting in the auditorium, hundreds of organizers from all over the country. Who is their keynote speaker but Peter Walsh?
Wow.
I was so delighted, and it felt like kismet. So I came back to Santa Barbara. I got myself a name. I went down to the city hall and got my business license, and have been helping people ever since.
Beautiful. So you mentioned actually you went to the bookstore and you checked in the design section.
Yes.
So this actually is more of a designing rather than organization over design. Which
Right.
one is it?
Well, I think it's interesting because Feng Shui is also a study of placing things in a certain pattern or in a way. I don't study that so much, but where it creates harmony and balance within a room or in a home or in a garden. And so I think that organizing is more in the realm of design. But what I have found in my work is that it's really also very emotional and very psychological, and there is a very deep component to it. Besides just the objects, it's really about the people and their space. So
yeah, very interesting. So I'm going to ask you this question personally. So I'm a very unorganized person.
Oh.
Absolutely. And few of my friends are too. So I was very worried. I went to their offices, and they are as unorganized as I am. So what is it with people? Why they are organized, why they are not, you think?
So I think it's, and bear with me, in my feeling.
I can critique well, don't worry.
In my feeling, sometimes the outer reflects the inner, and vice versa. So sometimes when things are inside us, a little chaotic, the outside is a little bit of a mirror reflection to that. And also when it's more organized, but that's not always the case. I think that in our lives, we are so incredibly busy, and there's so much information coming to us all the time, and things. And in America especially, we're very consumer oriented. And so I think this also has a situation of not making the right decisions about getting the things that we want. We choose out of, we're hungry, we're tired, we don't feel good, we want this, we want that, so the items sometimes become sort of a solution to the problem, and then they become the problem.
I like your first answer better. It reflects your inner as outside. Yeah, you're right, I'm a mess. So here we go. That's very fascinating. So when we come back, I'll have more questions for Diane. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Michael Kurosh, and I would like to personally offer you a special thanks for supporting our show as we enter our 11th season. When you come into Santa Barbara Design Center and mention the show, we will pay the sales tax on your entire purchase, including rugs, sofas, sectionals, and accessories. Please come visit us at Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive Street. And once again, thank you for supporting our show. Today on Design FYI, we're going to talk about what not to buy when you're going shopping for rugs. Most big outlets or national chains, they sell nowadays hand-tufted rugs. This sounds like it's hand knotted, it's done by hand, but actually they are not. It's called hand-tufted and is actually a gun that rolls the wool around the warp, and they are not good rugs at all. So this is a sample we're having here for you to see. Anything that has a backing like this, flip your rugs over at home, see if it has a backing, is absolutely not good. So what it does is it hides what they did below this thing, which is a latex glue, which actually is toxin. And if you have got any rugs over the net, I hate to say it, over the net, because it's easy to sell and they're inexpensive, you buy these things over the internet. So when it comes to your house, they smell. Have you noticed that? They smell more like a gasoline or more like a diesel because they don't let the latex cure. And the latex that glues this wool to this backing smells a lot. On top of that, they shed quite a lot. The wool is cheap because they need to be inexpensive, and they shed. I would not recommend you to get anything, again, that has a backing and is glued because it comes apart very easily. It is temporary. It is not a green product because they wear very quickly, end up in the fill, and just basically as a landfill junk we are adding to our planet. The things I would recommend you to get, unlike these things that have backing, is the rugs that they have nuts to them. So as what to buy, I highly recommend you to get some rugs that they are hand knotted. And how you can see, flip it to the back, and you can see the knots are done individually, and each one is slightly different than the next one because they're done by hand, and the intensity of the wool and the pull they have, the weaver, makes them look different. Also, the sides are done by hand. That you can see very easily. If you want to buy a real rug, please come to Santa Barbara Design Center and I can gladly help you. Thank you for joining us on Design FYI, Santa Barbara Design Center, 410 Olive. Welcome back to Design Santa Barbara. This week we are with Diane Anthony, whose organization business, Piece of Space, helps people reinvent their space and lives. Diane, thank you again for being in our show.
My pleasure.
For many, organization can be overwhelming. How do you go about starting the process?
So usually when I come into someone's home or space, I ask them what's their vision. So what is the vision that they would like to have for this space? And we go from there. So if it's a family office or a children's room or the garage, people have different requirements for their space. Sometimes our homes have rooms that are dual,
purpose?
Yes, exactly. So
like an office becomes a guest room.
Exactly. And so for that, I try to create a very harmonious environment so that people can have the vision that they want. So going in, we usually look at what the vision is, and then it's very specific to the project, what the people need, and so we sort of take it from there.
Oh, beautiful. So talking about guest room and the office.
Right.
I have a vision of my guest doing my work.
There,
How about that?
That's wonderful.
That's it. We can do that.
Yes.
All right then. How does organization differ by room? Bedroom, kitchen, family room, etc.
Yeah, so the kitchen so what I like to do is to try to remind people to keep like items in the same space. So sometimes children's rooms, the toys will be in the master bedroom as well as in the kitchen as well as in the living room. And what happens is it's very disjointed for our psyche when we walk into a space, that it needs a little more simplicity. And so I have clients, so if it's an office space, their bills, and we try to set up a location where all of those things will stay and remain in the same space. And so for a kitchen, I often go in and we look at all of the items that people have. And there's two things that I share with my clients. Every item, the first question is it useful? And the second question is Does it make you happy when you see it? Now, for example, a colander, that you strain pasta with probably doesn't emote a lot of happiness, but it's necessary. So every item can have these questions asked to them. And so my clients can then go through and look at each of the things they have and decide, is this something that makes me happy when I see it, or is it something I need to have? And so in that way, we cull away and start to get rid of the things that are really just becoming overwhelming.
Well, that's wonderful. Actually, I do the same thing when I go to people's homes and I say, have you used it for the last 6 months or not? If the answer is no, so most likely you do not need it. Either donate it or get rid of it.
Exactly. And the thing about the donating, there are so many people that have so little, and we have so much. And I think I mentioned earlier about sometimes people buy things not because they actually need them or they love them, but they're feeling sad. We have this expression, retail therapy, and go and buy something and then it hangs in the closet. They never wear it. It doesn't look good on them. But this accumulation of things, for me, it's very much about conscious purchasing.
For some, their wardrobe can get out of hand. How do you approach organizing a closet or a storage space?
Well, there's one technique that I really like, which is to take the hangers in your closet and turn them all around. So the hook is now facing you, okay? It's a visual that you have to think about. You don't have to take the clothes off the hangers, you just turn them so all the hooks are facing you now. And every time you take off take a piece of clothing that you're going to wear, you take it off the hook, wear it, and hang the hanger in the proper direction. And you give yourself a period of time. Being in Santa Barbara, we have kind of an eternal summer, so we don't often have the intense seasons that other places have. So our clothes are relatively easy right through. So then every time, for example, I usually give people 6 months or a year. And at the end of that scheduled time, they see how many clothes they have actually worn.
Wow.
And like you said, sometimes if you haven't used it in a certain amount of time, chances are you aren't going to. And so we wear 15% of our clothes 85% of the time. The rest of it is, so if you have a tuxedo or a gown or something that's a once in a while occasion, obviously that's different, but you will see that you gravitate to the same clothes because they make you feel good, because you're comfortable in them, because people have complimented you on them. And so the rest of those items can then be donated. Or if they're valuable, they can go to a consignment shop and make a little money back.
That's very, very fascinating and actually true. And I bet you a lot of our viewers gonna do that just in like about 10 minutes after the show. You will see that. It's just like all the wardrobe's gonna be turned around. So my next question for this segment is, if something is given as a gift, do you have to keep it?
So I often say this to people. Let's say you're having a family dinner and your aunt has put out all of this china, and then you make a comment on how lovely this set is, and then one year she gives you all of this china. But it's not something that you wanted to keep. And what I find so often with people is that some of these very precious gifts are in cardboard boxes that are falling apart in the garage, never to be looked at again. But the sense of obligation that they don't want to hurt their aunt's feelings. But in reality, nobody would want you to feel burdened by anything they give you, right? And so what I feel is that, what if we looked at the situation that we were the caretakers of these items for a finite amount of time, not forever. And so maybe you keep that china for a while and then you donate it to an organization where they can make money or do better things with it, or for somebody who doesn't have something like that. The other thing I find is that people have gifts, and when I go into these boxes, I say, what is this? And they say, oh yes, it's very precious, very special. Then my question is, why is it in a box in the garage? So if it is something that you love, then it should have a place of honor in your home. There should be some place where you see it and you love it. So I had this idea with, for example, the china. Set a beautiful table, have it catered, invite all of your friends, drink champagne, take photographs of this wonderful celebration, and then frame one of those pictures and box all of the china up and donate it. And that way it's been used and you feel that you've given it the reverence that it deserves, but no, you are not obligated to keep gifts that people give you if it doesn't serve you.
That's wonderful. Amazing, actually. That's very clever. I used to regift the things I don't like, but now I know, it's okay. I take a picture of them and then read.
There you go.
I have a few more questions for Diana, and we will be back for more Design Santa Barbara after this break. We live in one of the most beautiful locations in the world. I've raised my kids here. I love it here. What we offer at Santa Barbara Design Center isn't just furniture. It's a chance to turn a house into a home. What may look like a deal online, it's very different when it shows up. It's something to be said for feeling it before it becomes part of your life. We are here to help guide you through this wonderful process. We are Santa Barbara Design Center. Come start your journey with us. This week on Design FYI, we're going to talk about sofas and the unknown mistakes people make. Did you know average American spends 46 minutes a day in a car? But they spend 5 hours and 4 minutes on average on a sofa. So why would you go out there and spend tens of thousands of dollars for something you use for 46 minutes and then go ahead and buy something cheap that you sit on it for 5 hours and 4 minutes? At Santa Barbara Design Center, we create you a custom sofa that is made for you specifically and to your shape and size and comfort and your family. So when you're sitting and watching TV or talking and conversing with your friends, you're sitting on actually something that represents you. Your car represents you. Why shouldn't your sofa? Thank you for joining us on Design FYI this week, and please come see me at Santa Barbara Design Center, 4th and Olive, and let me help you find the right sofa for you and your family. Thank you for joining us today on Design Santa Barbara. My guest this week is Diane Anthony, a professional organizer who has been sharing some insight about her business, Piece of a Space. Diane, thank you for being on our show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It is wonderful having you. So, my next question is, how can organization enrich someone's life?
I say to my clients and to people, if it's not a problem, it's not a problem. But so many people come to me and they are feeling overwhelmed. They don't know what to do with their items. Their life is in a bit of chaos. And I have actually worked with people who, once they have started to declutter and to organize and simplify their lives, they lose weight. They
lose weight?
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm gonna call you.
Because the stuff is stuff. It's a burden. It's, you know, our homes should be a sanctuary, right? Filled with things that make us happy and make us feel safe. The outside world has enough chaos, but we shouldn't feel that when we come home. We should walk into a place where it is a haven, a safe environment that gives us joy. And so, for me, watching my clients and people change their lives by really getting clear on what they really want to have in their life and what they want going forward with their life. So organizing allows people to start the second career of their life that they'd like, or take up lessons of things that they wanted to do. People sleep better. There's a sense of overwhelm when we're filled with so much stuff physically, and it affects us psychologically. So I find that it's incredible work, very, very powerful. And,
That's very true.
And I'm always very impressed and honored when clients seek me out, because one of the things about organizing is that there is a great level of embarrassment and sometimes shame, and people are very vulnerable to have someone come into their life and look at their things that they are embarrassed to have anyone look at. But this is what I say to people. You wouldn't set your own dentistry, right? If you had a root canal, you wouldn't fix it. You wouldn't fix your own leg if it was broken. You would go to a professional. And some people feel that organizing should be something they of course should know how to do, and that they should be able to do it themselves. But the truth is, a lot of people have never been shown how to do that by their family or their environment, or they've inherited too many things and they just don't know how to take that next step. So hiring myself or somebody that can help, even if it's a friend, to come and be with you while you ask yourself these questions of, is it useful? Do I love it? It's very powerful.
Thank you very much again for beautiful explanation, and it makes quite a lot of sense. So our viewers gonna enjoy it. And by the way, the viewers should know next week we're gonna have your husband Kevin Burke, the Kevin Burke Wealth Management founder here, and I'm excited to see what he has to say. You guys seem to be the wise guys in town. Thank you. So, My next question is regarding to the office. Here we go. What can organization of an office do to help business productivity?
So it's very similar to, I would say maybe to the kitchen, in the sense that you want to have ease of movement. And so when we're in an office, which is really the trickiest for a lot of people, because paper just accumulates. And unless you have a system of how the paper comes in, where it goes, where it stays, it can just start to pile up. So there's pilers and filers. I'm a piler. So I stack things, but when you're stacking them, you can't see what's underneath. Yeah, so bills get lost, invitations, engagement announcements and things. So it's really important for an office to have a good flow of a system of how the mail comes in, how the time is set. And oftentimes people's offices double as, if they're a professor and they're writing content for things, or anything that has to do with sitting at a space where you have all the things that you need, and that they're organized so that you can be the most productive that you can be when you're in that environment.
Pilers
Filers.
and filers. Is there a third category, spreaders?
Yeah.
Because my desk is all over the place. It's like,
Now there's a third category.
A third category. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. What is the most common thing you hear from people after you have to help them?
Well, I would have to say it's a sense of freedom and also a sense of peace, because this space is so different, transformed, but now it usually has the things that bring them happiness. They know where to find things. Sometimes people go and they look for something like a roll of tape to pack a box, but because they can't find it, they go and buy another one. Now we've discovered that there are multiple things that they have, and so this sense of simplicity and peacefulness and freedom is something that I often hear, and it is so moving to me to know that I have helped people. It's my honor to be able to do this kind of work, because I see it as so meaningful and so impactful.
That makes a big difference in people's life, I can tell you, yes. My last question is, how can people reach you and learn more about your services? Because I think after this show, a lot of people will need your help.
Well, I have a website, and it is peaceofspace.com. And then my phone number is 805-637-8544. So they can reach out on my website, and I offer an intake. So I will meet with someone and we see if it's a good fit, and spend maybe a half an hour looking at their place, their project, and then take it from there.
Beautiful. I would like to thank Diane Anthony again for taking time to talk with us. Please take time to visit Diane's website and learn more about her wonderful business. Next week, we will be speaking with Diane's husband, Kevin, about financial planning and wealth management. Thank you for joining us. Today on Appraisals, we have this stunning 17th century North Italian cabinet. At the time in which this cabinet was built, Italy was fractured into several small states, including the Republic of Venice, the Papal States, and the Kingdom of Sicily. The Renaissance in Italy produced some of the world's finest art, architecture, and literature. Furniture design in this era took a turn towards the ornate. Although not as lavish as later French furniture, with gilding and other accents, one can see the Italian style developing into something grander than just function. Now we have this beautiful Northern Italian 17th century cabinet. I actually really like the colors, like the design. It is not too ornate, but it is decoratively painted. The color, the patina on it, it takes you back centuries. It is something you don't see nowadays. You don't see it in new furniture. I sell a lot of furniture. They're new. You can feel they're new. This has a soul to it that you cannot replicate. The age that goes to it has a little inscription, a little date on here. It's a 1648. It's a little bit hard to read. Has a little beautiful cross in the top. Has a little heart in the bottom. You have this beautiful bouquet of flower sprays. The opening up. What is impressive to me is this original hardware. As you can see, they hand hammered this. They have these ancient nails that you can date most furniture with. And as long as if you see a Phillips screw in it, you know that's a 20th century item. These things, the other hand, they're very old and they're original. As you can see, functional but beautiful. It's a little dragon, if you can see, and dragon is a continuous theme in my show, and I love dragons. Beautiful green, has a little lock, you open it. Inside of it has still the old patina original lock. Inside is functional. You could use it as a bar, you could use it as a entry piece, you could store items in it. Nowadays, whoever buys this perhaps most likely will use it as a decorative item in an entrance or some beautiful corner. I have seen a lot of Italian furniture. This particular one stands out as beautiful, as a little bit of a primitive northern villages of Italy, south of Tyrol. Beautiful. I appraise this for $12,000 to $15,000 in today's market. That's today's appraisal. See you next week.